Hello and welcome to the Bootstrap Founder. Today I'm talking to my dear old friend Fatih Kadir Akın, or FKA for short. We discuss the unexpected journey of building a successful business out of a simple idea. Fatih shares his experience with building Stikkernet and how he grew his audience through community building, and we chat about the challenges of logistics when it comes to shipping internationally and how Fatih found solutions that worked well for him so that it led to an exit. But before we dive in, let me thank the sponsor for this show. Imagine this. You're a founder who's built a solid SaaS product, acquired customers, and is generating consistent monthly revenue. The problem is that you're not growing for whatever reason, lack of focus or lack of skill or just plain lack of interest, and you feel stuck. So what should you do? Well, the story I would like to hear now is that you buckled down and somehow reignited the fire. You got past yourself and the cliches and started to work on the business rather than just in the business. You started building an audience and moved out of your comfort zone and did sales and marketing, and in 6 months, you've tripled your revenue. That would be a great story, but the reality is not as simple. Situations may be different for every founder facing this particular kind of challenge, but too many times the story ends up being one of inaction and stagnation until that business becomes less valuable or worse, worthless. If you find yourself here, or you think your story is likely headed down a similar road, I'll offer you a third option. Consider selling your business on acquire.com. Capitalizing on the value of your time is a smart move, and acquire.com is free to list. They've helped hundreds of founders already, so you would be in good company. Go to acquire.com and see for yourself if this is the right option for you. And now, here's Fatih.
It's kind of weird, right? Like we worked together for a year or so, and back then in San Francisco, and then like we all, like everybody working at Coding, the company, right, had their own reasons why they left or why they went away, and then everybody kind of like flew back to where they came from. That was one of those weird little things that I found so notable. Like you went to Turkey, I went back to Germany. Like everybody just went back home in many ways, and did that thing back there. How was that for you? Like for me, I just went back home, and after Coding, I just had a nap that lasted a couple months. Like honestly, I really needed to relax because it was just so much. The work was so much. It was so intense. I was burned out, and I just needed to be home. How did you deal with that? Were you similarly damaged?
I remember these days. Actually, I was working from Turkey remotely, and I joined another company in Turkey again, and I didn't actually give a break. I continued working. So then I jumped from a company to another, and as a front-end developer for a long time. Actually, I was doing front-end until last year. That's how how it's gone on my side.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I built a company called Stikkernet. You already know about it. Because
I'm excited about this. Like,
yeah, I wanted to see if I can do a business. That's my main, motivation. I am a developer, and I wonder if I can run a business. That's all the story actually. And I was doing some community stuff in Turkey. I organized a JS Istanbul community, which is a JavaScript Istanbul actually, gathering all the JavaScript developers together, and where we were doing some meetups, etc. So we were collecting stickers as every developer do, and I saw that we needed some stickers, and we had two options in Turkey. Either we should buy stickers from Sticker Mule, which located in United States, or we should go to local print shops. So ordering from Sticker Mule is a bit expensive, and we should wait for the shipping. And it was not really easy for us. And if you order too frequently, it will be held in, the customs, because customs thinks you are importing things. It's
Hmm.
secrets, but you have to tell them. Then we went to actually local print shops, but they are really low quality, and they ask us to print 1,000 or something. I don't want 1,000 stickers because I don't need them in that much. So I thought there is a space there for Turkey market. Everyone is asking stickers. Every company, startups asking for stickers. They are ordering from Sticker Mule or doing. They are going. They were going to print shops. So I thought I can do it, and I created a you know WordPress and WooCommerce site. It was the easiest you know stack for me to do. I didn't want to write any code, by the way, because I want to try the business. I didn't want to try how if I can write some e-commerce site or something. Yeah, that's actually how it started. And um,
How did it end? How did it end? Tell me about that. No, I honestly the thing that I'm excited to hear about is like where it got you, but I think it's already so cool that you stopped yourself from building yet another piece of software. Because so many people, when they think, "Oh, I'm going to build a business like with software," I mean that they have to write everything. That's what they think, right? I have to write login software, I have to buy password reset, and I have to buy to build like a payment system and whatever, right? I'm glad you didn't, because otherwise you probably would have wasted a year building this website for no reason, and probably wouldn't have worked either.
yeah, exactly.
So how
Actually,
did it
people
continue?
people around me criticized me not to write it from the scratch. People were saying me, you are a developer, you can do it yourself. Why are you using WordPress, WooCommerce, etc.? And I said, okay, well, there is a solution there. Why shouldn't I? So it was, a fun story, because everyone wants to create same things again and again. And as you said, I didn't want to write the e-commerce system. There are so many things I should handle, like checkout, payment systems, discounts. It's not an easy thing to do. I should create a company and hire some engineers or something. I couldn't do it myself. I didn't want something like that big. So I was thinking just to try myself if I can do business. Yeah, that's the actually spirit.
How quickly did you get like customers? How quickly did you find people to actually buy stickers through that?
Yeah, that's another story. I already, I'm already, I already have followers on Twitter. I'm really active on community. People know me. The first day I opened my site, I didn't sleep until morning make all the stickers. Because there are lots of orders coming from the site, because people know me. I already have audience. I already know people. Uh, you know, lots of friends and my followers ordered so many stickers from there, and they gave me feedbacks like, the paper is bad or paper is not good, but etc. And with the feedbacks, I upgraded myself. It was a unknown place for me. The local print shops, or the, I don't know if it's English, but the guys who sell paper. There are shops sells paper, and I go there and I bring some examples from Sticker Mule, and I ask them if they have this kind of papers. So they have their own jargons. I didn't understand anything. So I checked. I bought lots of papers from them, and I tried one by one, which is the best one. Yeah, and because they are speaking in paper types. They have some jargons in Turkish. It's not, I even can't Google it. It's a jargon in Turkish. So when I Google, there is almost no result. It's a really hard thing for me to handle this stuff, the production stuff. But somehow I figured it out, and I upgraded my, the papers, and I bought some new machines and the printers and the cutters. So yeah, that become active so quickly. I didn't actually wait it too much because I already have followers. I knew communities, and when I go some, I was doing some speeches around about development, because meanwhile I'm already a software developer. I didn't quit my job. The sticker site is my side project. So actually, um, like an Uber driver, I was doing some stickers at night, and development by the day. Uh,
Yeah.
so
I did not expect that you actually would print these stickers and send them out yourself. I thought you found a way, to have somebody else do this, but you becoming a sticker expert? Now that is news to me. That is so awesome.
yeah,
That's
actually,
so unexpected.
I had a partner. Actually, my wife's older brother is my partner. We did, because it's gone a little big, and I couldn't, I didn't have time to do that, and he asked me to help, and I said, okay, let's do it together, and he started. He handled all the things like shipping, the printing. I taught him how to print and how to cut the stickers. So he helped me a lot. So yeah, I had so many customers, like 17,000 customers.
Wow.
Yeah, and unique, by the way. Yeah, mostly
That's
from
cool.
Turkey. Yeah, mostly from Turkey, but there were customers from Azerbaijan, Cyprus, UK.
Mhm.
Interestingly,
Yeah,
UK.
that's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah. It's weird to me because some people knows me. Some uh, there was a um, developer living in UK. She is Turkish, but she works in the UK community, Google comment or something. I didn't really remember, but um, she knows sticker, and she told their friends there is a company in Turkey printing stickers for really cheap. When you think about the currencies, um, the pound is really high rate from comparing to Turkish lira, so it's really cheap for them. So they started the order from us, and it was a win-win thing.
Yeah.
uh,
An
yeah,
international business. That's so cool.
yeah,
That's
and
great.
Romania, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually,
Wow.
the site was in Turkish, but people were using it with Google, Google Translate, and ordering
Oh, I love that.
from, internationally. Yeah, that was crazy for me
You know what
actually. Uh-huh. Go on.
I bet. How was the logistics of that? Like how was like sending packages or little letters? Was that expensive for you, or did you ever expect to send your stuff outside of Turkey at that point?
Yeah, actually, we were sending the envelopes because we are using stickers. If it's a huge order, we were using boxes, but mostly people are buying 10 or 20 stickers they love. We React, Apache, etc. Something like JavaScript. So they were buying 10 or 20 stickers. So we were using envelopes, and sending envelopes actually categorized as documents. So it was really cheap for us to send in Turkey. But in outside of Turkey is a bit expensive. But we were charging customers on shipping, so
Oh, okay.
actually, yeah, uh, it wasn't actually a big issue for us. We were charging them, so it's okay. And actually, for example, UK was really expensive from Turkey, but according to them, it's not really expensive. So they were okay about paying the shipping costs. So it wasn't a big issue. Yeah, actually, I was collecting customers from, I was going to some meetups, speaking, about development, and I was collecting customers. When in every community slide, I introduce myself to the community, right? I'm Fatih Kadir Akın, and I'm a developer, and my Twitter handle is this, and I do own a business called Sticker.net. If you go to Sticker.net and use that um, code, discount code, you will able to have a discount. So actually, I was doing some um, um,
Marketing?
marketing on, yeah, thanks, marketing on meetups, and people love it. And actually, it was it was working. I didn't do any Google ads or something. Never.
Wow. It's the perfect product for a community too, right? Every developer loves stickers on their laptop, on whatever periphery they have, like iPads and whatnot. And if you already are in the JavaScript community, not only do you have like JavaScript stickers, but you have Vue.js and you have like React and you have whatever new framework they invented yesterday. You can put a sticker out, and
Yes,
there's
exactly.
such a gigantic amount of projects, right? That you can have a massive amount of potential stickers there. Genius. Like I when I go to meetups, I try to find stickers. Not that I really need them, right? I don't need more stickers. Everything is full of stickers anyway, but I like it. And it's just it's almost a meme, right? In our community that we need those stickers. What a perfect match of your community contribution and the business that you've been building. That is really
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Yeah, actually, people ask me a lot why I'm only, targeting developers and designers, because lots of people need stickers. And last year, I upgraded my content to, target more people. Not just developers or designers. I added, like some other kind of memes, internet memes or something. So actually, I tried to expand my target audience, but developers and designers were actually my biggest customers. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's nice. It's nice to have a niche because you know exactly what they want, right? I mean, memes. I guess you can quickly figure out what memes work, but you know exactly. I mean, you go to the meetups, you see people's stickers, you know what they already have, right? So you can make a pretty sound judgment. Still good to expand into memes. I think it's a great idea to try and see, right? How far you can go. When did Sticker Mule come knocking? When did they express interest in your product?
Yeah, that's another story. Actually, we were running business in the beginning of this year, and my brother-in-law asking me to asking me frequently to buy some new toners and papers, etc. So we were running business, but for 2 years or Turkish economy gone a bit bad, so prices gone high, and the dollar rate is go really high. The Turkish lira lost its value, so importing things become a little bit harder for us. And government decided to harder the customs because they wanted to support the local producers. So it was really a nightmare for importers to do something actually. And we we are not a we don't produce toners or printers. So the toner prices go really, really, really high. Um, I tried to, I'll try to, like I was buying a color of toner like 300 Turkish lira, and it become 5,000 Turkish lira. Can you
Wow,
guess the
that's a lot.
chart? Yeah, and And when I checked the prices, our toners finished, and there was some orders waiting for the printer to be filled, so we can ship them. My brother-in-law asked me to Fatih, can you please order some toner because we need toners. We run out of toners, so okay, I will do. I said, and I go to the toner sites I always buy. So I checked, five color toner is like four color toner is like CMYK, like 20,000 Turkish lira is amazing, is too high. There are high level printers. There were actually high level printers in that price. So I called back my brother-in-law and said, I won't order, let's close the business. And he said, what? How? Why? And I said, okay, just go high. We are doing some business. We can increase our prices, to make it more, profitable. So this is another option, but I don't want to. What I actually was selling stickers when I first started the business. I was selling stickers just 1 lira per sticker. Is really really low price. So it's gone really high, and I didn't want people to pay really high rates for a sticker. They, it's not a need for the people. It's just a pleasure or something. I didn't want to. Actually, we were earning from the side, but I didn't want to. I'm doing this business as my side project. I didn't. It doesn't actually. I didn't live with it. So I said, okay, we already spent too much time on it. I can do better things to earn money instead of running a sticker company uh, and earn much more money. So let's close the business. It's not actually profitable anymore, I said. And he said, okay, fine, let's do it. Let's close it. And I tweeted. Actually, I didn't close the site, but I just disabled the payment page, so people can view these stickers, but they won't be able to order them. And I and I sent a tweet to the people saying, "Okay, guys," in Turkish, by the way. "Okay, guys, I'm closing the Stikkernet because it's become, a little bit hard to run. So because of the economy, and I didn't actually want to increase the prices, so I decided to close it. And lots of people mentioned me, replied to me, and I shouldn't do it. Let's support you or something. People are encouraging me to run the business again. And somehow, I didn't know how it happened. Somebody from Sticker Mule sent me a message from LinkedIn and said, "Okay, we saw you are closing you decided to close your business, and if are you open to acquiring, selling the site to us?" And I said, actually, I didn't believe it at first because, if I thought someone trolling me, you know, it's a site that I tried to, close. I said it's not profitable anymore and not much, and I decided to close. Actually, the business is not going fine, and so I thought someone is trolling me, and I checked his profile. I checked his, connections. If I was trying to convince me if he is a real person or not, and I said, "Wow, are you serious? Yes, sure. I will sell you." And he connected me to the CFO of the uh, Sticker Mule. We had 2 calls with her, so we had a deal, and that's how it's gone.
Wow.
I didn't expect. It's just for me, it's just like winning a lottery,
Yeah,
Uh,
that's bizarre.
same chance for me.
That is so nice. What an incredible story. Like particularly because it sounds like a movie, right? You're at the darkest hour and everything fails and nothing works and there
Yeah.
is the sun is coming out and money comes your way. I'm happy for you. This is so nice. What a cool ending. I sometimes wonder, like you said something earlier which really stuck with me. Like you already had a Twitter audience and you already had your community that you were part of and that you were organizing. Would you ever even have started this business if you didn't have this audience and your community work? Do you think you would ever have the same level of success?
I didn't think. I don't think so. No. It's yeah, people around me say, "Oh my God, how did you do that? It's impossible." People say, and they add, because of the people because of the Twitter followers of you, it's happened. They believe. Actually, I believe so.
Yeah.
Audience is really, really, really important thing for for the business, uh, you know, like Stickernet, or I don't know. Actually, for every business, actually, I believe
Yeah,
audience
I think
is
so
too
too.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, actually, I didn't expect that become escalate so quickly.
I'm
Uh,
happy. That makes me happy to hear though. That is such a cool story.
yeah, actually, I was thinking there are many printers. 12. I had 12 printers, by the way.
Wow.
I had 12 printers and cutters. I was, making some, maths. If I sell these printers and the cutters, I had this much of money, and I was trying to, uh, you know, I was calculating all the things, but when the sticker move comes, it's like sun shining, as you said.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And that's how ended. I'm really happy to with its ending.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
It,
ending.
it actually it sounded like a bad thing to me first. Ending a business is a kind of bad thing. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. It's really nice. What a glorious ending. I think it's just really. I'm very happy for you, and I think you made a couple really good choices along the way. That kind of allowed you to, even though it didn't work out, that's not your fault, right? The fact that the Turkish economy has these issues, that's not your fault, really. But you dealt with it. You had to deal with
Yeah.
it, and that somebody else had the vision for your existing business to still flourish, to still go on even after you sell it to them. That's great for Sticker Mule. And what I find so hilarious in this is that you said, in the beginning, Sticker Mule is too expensive. I'm going to build my own Sticker Mule. And then you build your own Sticker Mule, and then Sticker Mules buys the Turkish Sticker Mule. That is just such a funny thing, right? Is this idea that you
Yeah.
built a
Exactly.
local version of their business that doesn't work really well in your
Yeah.
country, but you make it work, and then they get
Yeah.
to benefit from that too. What a perfect story. I'm just really happy, man. You said you're not a front end developer anymore. Can you tell me like how that transition to? I think you're now working in what, developer relations? Is that what it is, or what are you doing?
Yes. Yes, I'm actually a developer relations manager at Teknasyon, which is a global company based in Turkey. Um, yeah, actually, because of my, communication skills, I upgraded in so many years with the community stuff. So they asked me to last year, beginning of this year actually. Uh, they asked me to join them as a developer relations manager. Actually, I didn't know what a developer relations manager does
I don't know either.
in the first, you know.
What do you do?
Yeah, actually, developer relations manager is simply keeping actually you can think of two parts, internal and external. Internal developer relations is trying to make developers life easier inside the company, like improving the developer experience, um, giving space to develop their selves, and um, kind of things. Actually, I had a blog post on it, but I didn't release it yet. Yeah, actually, some kind of stuff inside, and externally, I'm doing some actually a company wants to grow, right? And the growth becomes in two ways in terms of tech. You should recruit people, hire people, or you should, and actually, not or, and you should make increase retention. People shouldn't leave your company. Yeah. So developer relations tries to do both of them, working with CTO and HR, and because we should increase the retention, make developers happy, and meanwhile, I should hire new people, hire new talents, and so to do that, I go to conferences, meetups, and etc. and find people and try to hire them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to develop strategies to achieve these two things. I didn't know if I'm clear or not, but
Oh yeah, makes perfect sense. Like internally, you make sure that things work well, and that people who work in a company get to grow, and externally, you attract new talent and you retain it. And you do that by going to events and making sure that the company you're working for is visible to the outside. I think it's funny
yes,
because
exactly.
that is what you've always done, right? By going to events and talking, but you were talking about technology, not necessarily a company, but like JavaScript, right? That's you were working for JavaScript this whole time. I remember back in 2012 when
Yeah.
I met you for the very first time, my mind was blown that you had written a book about JavaScript. Like that was already like I was so happy to meet somebody who had ever written a book, because I had not met a technical author before, and about a technology that back then at least was rather I guess newish, like novel. There was something about JavaScript where it was just coming back up, right? Like CoffeeScript was around. We didn't have TypeScript yet. We didn't have. We had like Node.js 0.6 or something. It was a really new kind of JavaScript on the back end and stuff. That was all very new. And you've always been there. You always, over the decades that we have like not worked together now, you've always been part of this community. You've always been bringing more people into JavaScript in Turkey, and I think worldwide. Just looking at your Twitter following, you have a lot of followers too. That was also impressive to me back then. Like when we met, I had no followers on Twitter at all, but you had lots. And even back in 2019, when I was when we sold our business, I always look up to you and your Twitter, because I had no followers at that point either. But you had like 25,000, and I was always impressed by how many people you were able to attract to you. I'm not surprised that you're now doing this professionally. It's really cool. Do you still get to code? Do you still want to code? Maybe two questions at the same time.
Yeah, actually, I love coding. I still, actually, we are trying to, I'm trying to encourage people inside the company about doing some open source stuff. So sometimes I try to, lead them. So I'm doing some code. Actually, last night I had a code session in YouTube. So we were
Nice.
trying to build something with Dino, the new JavaScript runtime. So yeah, I'm still doing code. Actually, not that much as old times, but yeah, I still code. I love coding. So yeah. And by the way, yeah, now I'm envying you. By the way, you become really popular, and people say me, and when I say okay, when someone sends me, your book or something, and I say, oh yeah, I know Arvid for a while, like 10 years or something. And they say, what? You know Arvid Kal? You know each other?
Oh, that's so
People,
nice.
you become much more worldwide,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a bizarre coincidence, I think. But it's just Danielle and I building Feedback Panda. That was just like with you. I feel like it was the right opportunity at the right moment where both of us co-founders, I guess, were at the right point to say we're gonna build this now, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, well, then it was interesting, and it was a nice experience. And then we built that, and it was successful, and we sold it, and that just kind of escalated my public appearance, because back in 2019, after we
Yes.
sold the business, I think I had 400 followers on Twitter. Like that was comparatively nothing, right? And those were people who've been following me for 10 years on Twitter, and I never used the platform, so I didn't have a following at all. But I've been working on increasing this, obviously, because I am teaching, right? Just like you, I've now written books, which always felt inspired by your work as well. So it's just so nice to talk to you, man.
No, thank you.
It's
But
been so long.
by the way, I read half of your Zero to Salt book.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish it.
Don't worry,
But
it's a big book.
yeah, you wrote a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
But you are one of the best writers I have read. You are writing really nice. I think it's not a coincidence you have too many followers. You are a well-known person in worldwide. So
Thanks so much.
congratulations.
Thanks, Fatih. That's really
I'm
sweet.
really glad. I feel honorable to know you, because I
Me
always
too.
say I know Arvid Kal.
I'm equally fortunate to have met you. I think honestly, back then, I would have called myself like an amateur developer, because I had worked in software. I had built some stuff, mostly PHP and all these things you did back then, around the 2010 times, the 2010 mark. But it was in working with you, and obviously also with the other fine people at coding, that I really learned what professional software engineering can be. Right? It took me being in a
Yeah.
group of really good engineers that really love building software, and being part of that like I always tell people when they ask me, was it worth going to university for computer science? I dropped out, right? So I don't know what should I say to begin with. But in the 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks that I spent working for coding and getting to know like everybody there, including you, at some, I guess, later point, but in the first couple of weeks and months, I learned more than I ever learned at 5-6 years in 5-6 years at the university, because it was just such the group of people and this shared goal that we had to build like an online IDE for coding, that just exploded potential, right? I feel, and to this day, I'm super thankful for the opportunity. And even though the business didn't work out and we all went our separate ways at some point, I don't think I would be where I am now if it wasn't for the people that I met along the way that taught me everything, and it taught me so many things that I would have never thought about. So now that you work in developer relations, what is the next business that you're going to be building? I have a feeling you're going to be building something new in the future, right? Or is Sticker the last thing you're going to be built? Huh? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I have an idea. I have an idea for 4 years. I have an idea for 4 years, and nobody still didn't do that. But it's not an e-commerce. I gave up with doing e-commerce. E-commerce is not really scalable. Um, you know, the shipping thing is really hard. Building things in physically is really, really hard. It has so many blockers, it has so many things that you should handle with. But I have an idea, business idea, doing some SaaS project
Okay.
for the companies, for the actually startups. I didn't want to go deeper on it, but I have an idea on it.
Sure.
But I don't know when I will start, because this Stickernet was occupying too much time of, my too much time. So I gave a break, and when I feel myself ready, I'll try to do some new business, and I will try to see if I'm doing SaaS business. Yeah, as I tried in, the e-commerce. Yeah.
Yeah, I think SaaS has many benefits. I think obviously like it's much more scalable if you build it as a low touch kind of business, right? Where you don't have to do sales, where you don't have to print anything. It's just a machine doing the work. But it does come with a lot of pressure in a sense of you need to focus on it a lot. I remember this. Like, fortunately, Feedback Panda was low touch and it was highly automated, and we could run it as a side project for a long time. Both Danielle and I, we both had full time jobs while we built the software on the side. But at some point, there was this kind of choice that we needed to make. Like, are we going to do it full time now, or is it just going to be this small side project, right? And it was making good money at that point already, but we had to make a conscious choice to not get money from our main jobs anymore, so we could really dive into the business. And one thing that I noticed running the business pretty much myself as a technical founder. Danielle was the non-technical person, and she did all the design and all the, the business, the outreach, the sales, the marketing, and I did all the tech stuff at that point. There was a lot of mental pressure to just keep things running. Because if you don't have like a DevOps team, if you don't have like more engineers that are on call at night so you can sleep, you're always on call and you're always responsible for keeping the software running. And if you write a book and you've written a book, you don't care. You don't care what Amazon does on their book printing store, or or your publisher does. You give the book to them, they deal with the book, and they sell it for you, and you get the royalties. But with a SaaS, man, you better be like ready to spend a lot of time on it. Which obviously, in your situation where you have a full-time job and your community work, it's probably going to be hard to just side project this. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I'll try to start and I'll see how it goes. I don't know. I actually don't have any, uh, you know, uh, I can see what will happen, but
Yeah.
I can feel the pressure, because I worked for the SaaS companies.
Yes.
I didn't own one, but I worked for the SaaS companies, and it's like having a baby, as you said, you have always have to think of it in your mind, um, and it will occupy your time. Maybe, as you said, you have to be on call all the time. It doesn't feel really easy, but I used to you have some experience from Stickernet. Stickernet is not actually a SaaS business, but it has pressure too. In kind of, people were mailing, people were calling the phone by the phone. They were ordering, and in an hour later they were calling if it's shipped or not. It's like management customers is not a really easiest, not the easiest thing in
Yeah, I
in the
bet.
world. Uh, yeah, so I can feel it, but I'll try to do some business. And after the Sticker Mule acquisition, it's uh, it makes much more confidence to the to me. I don't know actually if Sticker Mule didn't acquire it, maybe I would never think of it. But after Sticker Mule acquires, it feels like, oh, something I can do something,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Let's try again.
Yes, that's the right mindset right there. Which I'm honestly but what I would like to see is that you started right now or tomorrow. You get started, man. I mean, what do you have to lose, right? You can always run your little SaaS project as a side project. I mean, obviously you still have to do your job and
Yeah,
all the other
maybe
things.
I started,
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I've started. I don't. No one knows.
I will support you. You know that, right? And you have a community of what now 53,000 followers that will also support your efforts. They did support you with Sticker, so they will also support you with the next thing. Man, it's so nice talking to you and just seeing you smile when you talk about business. Because I think for both of us back in 2012, when we were just regular software engineers, neither of us was thinking about building a business, right? I certainly didn't, and I
Yeah,
don't
never.
think you were. And now here we are. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah. It's the world is small, man.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so glad that you talked to me today. That is such a wonderful thing. Where do you want people to find you after they listen to this? Where do you want people to go and check out your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Actually, I'm always tweeting in Turkish. Sorry about it, but I'm making most of the time I'm making fun. But Google
Yeah.
Translate works fine.
Yep.
You can translate and read my tweets. I'm FKA Dev, DEV, like developers Dev. FKA, my capitals and Dev. So yeah, they can reach me out there from Twitter, and they can find me on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is much more, the much more, English based. So yeah,
That's so cool.
and
Well,
you can
I
follow me
recommend
on
it.
GitHub. GitHub, by the way, I have lots of open source projects on GitHub.
Yes.
Use them.
You also have
Yeah.
the I think the shortest Twitter handle that anyone could have, right? You just F on GitHub.
Yeah, GitHub. Yeah, I have the GitHub/F.
That is so bizarre, man. You were there at in the first hour of GitHub existing to grab that handle. That is so cool, man. Thank you so much for chatting with me. That was awesome, and I hope you start your next thing immediately. Like, get going, man. I know you'll have the support of the whole
Okay,
community behind you. Thanks so much, Fatih.
okay. I'm opening my IDE right now. You fired me again.
All right, way to go. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
And that's it for today. Thank you for listening to The Bootstrap Founder. You can find me on Twitter at AvidKal, AIVID, You find my books on my Twitter course there as well. If you want to support me and the show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, get this podcast in your podcast player of choice, and leave a rating and a review by going to ratethispodcast.com/founder. Any of this will truly help the show. So thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.